Hello friends, welcome to my channel. This is Charan. In this video tutorial, I will explain in Django REST framework how to join multiple tables using stored procedures. And here we got the final output. Notice the header tags, after that horizontal line, and below that we got a table, the country names from the country table and state names from the state table. Both these tables I have joined using stored procedure. This is a stored procedure, this is a country table, and this is a state table. With the help of this stored procedure, first I have created this API, then I consume that API or call that API to display the records on the templates. That's it. If you are a first time visitor to my channel, please subscribe to get the latest updates. Before creating a new Django REST framework web application, first we'll check the tables in PHP MyAdmin database, which is my SQL server. The table name is a country table which contains two columns. CID which is a country ID, originate column, and CNAME is a country names. Right now this country table contains only 3 countries. And the second table is a state table which contains 3 columns. SID, SNAME, and CID, and this SID column is a primary key column which is an auto-generated column. Now the most important step is when we want to join tables, at least one column must be similar or common between the tables. If you notice in the state table there is CID column, and in the country table also there is one column named CID. So with the help of both CID columns, I will join these two tables using stored procedures. After that, we will display those records in Django REST framework. Now let's create a new stored procedure in this line database. So I have selected the procedure's name, right click the mouse. I'm opening in a new tab. To create a procedure, click add routine. Let's give the routine name, which is our stored procedure name. Join tables is my stored procedure name, and the parameters, I don't require any parameters because we are getting the output, we are not inserting any data, so I don't require, so I'm deleting these parameters. Now here in the definition we'll write the select statement to join the tables. So select the column names. First I'm adding from the country table dot CID column. Notice here we got the CID column, comma, and I want to join only the country names and state name only. I want to display the column names, country name from the country table and state names from the state table. So again the table name country dot CNAME, comma, now I'm adding the state table dot. If you notice when I click dot, I got all the column names here, but I'm choosing only SNAME. After that, from I'm adding country table name, inner join. After inner join, I'm adding the state table name on country dot CID is equals to state dot the table name dot CID, the column name. So with the help of these CID columns, I'm joining these two tables, country table and state table. That's it. Let's create a stored procedure. Click go. So here the stored procedure is created successfully. Here we got this join tables. Let's execute this stored procedure. Execute. See here we got the stored procedure. See here we got the results of the stored procedure, the CID, CNAME, and SNAME. Now let's call this stored procedure in Django REST framework to display this data on the template. Before creating a new Django REST framework web application, first we require one new folder. So I'm creating a new folder in this E drive. Right click the mouse, click new and select folder. And the folder name is REST join tables stored procedure SP. Enter. Let's browse this folder. Right now this folder contains empty. Now we will create a new Django REST framework application in this folder. I'm using Visual Studio Code to create a Django REST framework. But before that, we'll add the folder which we have created in the E drive. Go to File, select Open Folder, and the folder I have created in the E drive, this is our folder name. So I'm selecting that folder, then click the button Select Folder. And here we got the folder is added successfully to our Explorer panel. At the right side we got the welcome page. Let's close that welcome page. Now in this folder I will create a new Django REST application. For that, go to View and select Terminal. And here we got a terminal which is nothing but a PowerShell or command prompt. And also notice the path is the E drive, and this is the folder name. Now we'll create a new application in this folder. So Django -admin start project REST. The application name is REST join tables JT tab store procedure. And here our application is created successfully. Let me expand this application. And if you notice, when I expand this application, there is one subfolder called the same project name and one manage.py Python file. Let me allow to expand this subfolder also. And notice when I expand this subfolder, there is some default Python file, settings.py errors. All these files and folders has been created automatically when I create this project plus jtab_sp. Now after creating an application, the next step is we'll create one models page in the project subfolder. So select the subfolder, right click the mouse, click new file, and the file name is models.py. Now in this models page contains only the properties. We'll create properties for our table. So before that we need to import the models class. So let's do that one fast. From Django.db import models. After that, let's define a class called join table model. The class name is, and add the models.model, and it's capital here, column. Now we'll add the properties. Now in this class we'll add the properties. If we check in our tables, the country table contains 2 columns. So I'm adding the CID column here, because in our store procedure we have 3 columns I have added. So CID is equals to models dot, the CID column is a primary column, integer field, the data type is integer field, and this column is a primary key is true. After that we require the CNAME, which is a country name, models dot char field, it's a character type. Max length, let's add the length of this character is 100. And now we require the S name also from the country state table. Let's copy this one and paste here. The same, the data type is char field only. That's it. After that, let's save this file fast. Now after adding the model space to our project, next we require the serializer class. So right click the subfolder again, click new file, the file name is serialize.py, enter. And here we got our serialize.py. Now in the serialize page contains our model. We'll access the model and the fields of the model class. So before that, let's import the necessary classes from Django, not Django, REST framework, because this application is REST framework. Import serializers class. After that, we'll add the models class also from my models page is inside our application. So REST, I'm adding my application name models. Import from this models page, I'm adding my class name join table model. This class name I'm adding here. After that, we'll add a class and join table serializers.model serializer colon again let's define another class called meta class, and this meta class contains the model is equals to, the model name is this one, joint table model. So let's add that one. After that we'll add the fields also, is equals to double underscore all. Instead of that I'm adding the column names here, using single quotes, CNAME. I want to display CNAME, comma, and SNAME. I don't want to display the CID column. I want to display only the country names and state names. So I have added the field CNAME and SNAME only. If you want to add all fields, add underscore double underscore all. Let's save this file. After that let's add the views page. Again right click the subfolder, click new file, and the file name is a views.py. Enter. Now in this views.py contains the actual logic. Will create the stored procedure. Will create the now in this views.py contains the actual logic to create our API, the REST framework API. So first we'll import the necessary classes. First we'll import from my models class. I will import this models page is inside my application. So my application name dot models import join table model. After that I'm importing the serialize also from my application name dot serialize import join table serialize. Then I'm defining a class. Here in this application I'm creating the class based APIs. So class, the class name is join table API and view sets. I'm using view sets, so we require one more class, REST framework import view sets. Then let's add, call the view sets dot model view set class colon. Now in this join table, now in this class, now in this view set class, I'm adding the query set is equals to join table model, model name objects dot not all. I'm adding the raw method. Now in this raw method between single quotes I will call my store procedure. So again switch back to our database. Let's copy this part and paste here. So we don't require here the single quotes. Now after adding the query set, next we require the serializer class also. Let's add the serializer class. Our serializer is a join table serializer. So add that one, join table serialize. That's it. We have done the coding part. We have created the API in this join table API. Now let's save this file, save all. Now open urls.py. Let's configure the URL. In this urls.py, first we need to import the views page also from dot import views. In our views page, I have created the class view sets. So view sets, when we have using view sets, we need to import from REST framework dot routers. See here we got the routers here. Routers import default router. Here it is a default router. Then let's define a variable called router is equals to default router. Then router dot, we have to register this router. So with the help of register method between single quotes, the first parameter is a prefix of the URL. The prefix I want to add my model class name, comma, then we require the views dot I'm adding my class name, join table API. After that, in the URL patterns, path between single quotes, let's add the include. We need to include the argument we are getting from this router dot URLs. That's it, we have configured our URL also. Now let's save this file, save all. Next, we need to configure the database. For that, let's open the settings.py. In the settings.py, first, the most important, we need to install our application. In this install_app section, let's add our the applications. We are using the REST based applications, so REST_framework, comma. Now between the single quotes, I'm adding my application name. This is our application name. Let's copy this one and paste here. So after that, come to the bottom. Notice in the databases, the default database is SQLite 3, but our database is MySQL. And let's delete this default database name of SQLite 3. Let's add our database. Switch over to our database. The database is Lion database. Lion. And let's add the credentials. User. The username is root. And we require the password. Column between single quotes. Here the password I am leaving blank because I don't have any password to log into my PHP my admin database. If you have any password, please enter between these single quotes. Now after that, we require the host also. Host colon, host is a local host, comma, and we require the port number of our database. If you want to check the port number, here it is the MySQL 3308, the MySQL port number of PHP my admin database 3308. After that, the last attribute, I'm adding the options. Let's put between the single quotes, options, 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 colon, between single quotes, init, small letters. I'm initializing the command, colon, between double quotes. I'm setting the SQL mode. The SQL mode is equals to between single quotes strict trans tables. This one is capital T capital. Let's close with comma. That's it. We have configured the connection string in this database in settings.py. Now let's save this file. Save all. Now before consume this API, first we'll check this API is working or not. So come to the terminal. Let's add this application name to our path, cd, enter. Now let's run the server, python manage.py, run server, enter. See, after I run the server, we don't have any issues in our application, and below that we got our web server link. Let's run that one, control plus mouse click, and here we got our output, the basic output. And if you notice, the path is this one. The prefixes I have entered in the URLs join table model. So here the join table model. Let's browse this one. See, here we got the output of that both columns, cname and sname, in the JSON format. This is a get API method. Now let's call this get API to display records on the templates. Again, switch back to the Visual Studio Code. First, let's add a new folder called templates. Now in this templates folder, I'm adding my HTML pages. So again, right click the subfolder, new file. The file name is index.html, and here we got our index.html. Before adding the HTML5 coding part in this HTML page, again switch over to the views.py. Now let's call this join table API def. Let's create a function called display table. Takes the request column this function return I want to render. So we require one more class called render class from Django.shortcuts import render class. Now let's add the render here. Render request comma the templates is the index.html. I want to render index.html page, index.html. Then now let's call this API. Let's create an object. JTables is an object is equals to requesters. I'm requesting this API, so we require one more class called import requesters. Now let's add the requesters dot get method between single quotes. I am adding my API. This API I am adding. After that, let's define the JSON object is equals to JS tab tables, JTables. This object name here, the variable dot JSON type, because now this API is in the JSON format. So that's the reason I have added the JSON here. After that, I'm adding one more dictionary between curly brackets, double quotes. The dictionary contains the keys and values. The key is here, join tables. You can give any key name here, column, and the values we are getting from this JSON object. That's it. Let's save this file. Save all. Now switch over to the index.html. Let's add the doc type. Let's close the HTML. Inside the HTML, I'm adding the header section. After that, I'm adding the title. The title is join tables using stored procedure SP. Now let's add the body after the header section. In the body, I'm adding a center tag. In the center tag, I'm adding the headers. How to join multiple tables using stored procedure in Django REST framework. After that, I'm adding horizontal line. After the horizontal line, I'm adding the table element. Inside the table, I'm adding the property called border. This table contains a border with 1. The size border is 1. Then the table contains a tr. The table rows contains the table headers. The first table header name is a country name, and the second table header name is a state name. Then between curly brackets percentage. Now in this expression, I'm using for loop to fetch the records from the stored procedure. For loop, so for show data is an object. Show data in. Let's add the key. The key is the join tables. Copy that one and paste here. Percentage and for. Now here I am adding tr. This t is small trs. td table data between double curly brackets. Now in this expression, I am adding first the show data. This object name here dot cname, the column name td, again between double curly brackets show data dot s name. That's it. We have done the complete coding part, but here we need to configure the URL also. Path between single quotes, I'm adding this one is home, the home page. The URL name is views dot. I'm adding this function name. This function contains our HTML templates here. With the help of this function name, I want to render this index.html page. That's it. Let's save this file. And also the most important, we need to configure the templates also in this settings.py. Come to the top, notice in the template section there is a directories here. In the directories section, os.path, I am setting the path. The path I am joining my templates folder with the base directory. So base underscore directory comma within single quotes. Let's add the templates, the folder name here. That's it. Let's save this file. Save all. Now we'll check the final output. Let's run the server. Control plus mouse click. Here we got the output. But if we check in our URL, the path is home. Let's add that one. /home. Enter. And here we got the final output. Notice the header tags, after that horizontal line, and below that we got a table, the country names from the country table and state names from the state table. Both these tables I have joined using stored procedure. This is a stored procedure, this is a country table, and this is a state table. With the help of this stored procedure, first I have created this API, then I consume that API or call that API to display the records on the templates. That's it.